Once again, Christmas has arrived early for Dota 2 because the International Battle Pass is here. Instead of doing my usual first impressions, I will be doing an in-depth comparison of the TI7, TI8, and TI9 Battle Passes. I want to highlight the improvements and shortcomings between the three. I'd also like to point out that I will not be including the compendium features and minor quality of life additions. This video is all about the goodies. Let's begin with the prices, shall we? The 2019 Battle Pass provides you with three options. You can purchase it normally for $10, start off at level 50 by buying it for $30, or go straight to level 100 by paying $45. You can also buy additional levels after obtaining the Battle Pass. 5 levels cost $250, 11 levels cost $5, and 24 levels cost $10. When compared to TI7 and TI8, the prices of the level 1 Battle Pass and additional levels remain the same. There's also no notable difference to the level 75 Battle Pass since its price corresponds with the level 50 and 100's discounts. Ever since TI7, each international is given a focal theme. TI7 introduces an underwater voyage, TI8 provides a cavernous journey, and TI9 graces us with a jungle safari. The custom games and quest lines usually represent these themes the most. Sometimes it even becomes the lasting impression of a battle pass. This year's custom game is Wrath of the Morokai. Based on the information provided, it is very similar to Dire Tide, but instead of a Roshan that sides with no one, the Radiant and Dire will each have a Morokai. The Morokai activates and becomes stronger by feeding it arcane energy, which you can get by killing heroes and destroying objectives. The team with a stronger Morokai wins. Let's just say most of my Shieldbreaker buddies aren't happy. Some of them are still looking for that hardcore party-reliant PvE experience. It's quite a shame that a massive story campaign was only enjoyed by a few. I doubt Valve will ever justify making another one. Underhallow, however, is the exact opposite of Shieldbreaker. It is a full-on PvP battle royale, which was enjoyed by many but forgotten almost immediately. As for Wrath of the Morokai, we can only speculate. I will be releasing a replay analysis video the moment it comes out. Let's move on to quest lines. Jungle Expedition is this year's version. It is identical to TI8's Cavern Crawl. You only need to win once with a specific hero in order to move on. But now, doing it in Turbo is no longer recommended since your progress is halved in this mode. The Calling Blade bypasses this problem, but it is a finite item. Another change is that some paths will provide you with a list of heroes rather than a single one. The lists are themed after hero characteristics like support heroes with a potbelly or noseless utility heroes. In comparison, let's talk about TI7's quest lines. Its challenges were very restrictive and forced players to overextend. Instead of winning once with Lion, you need to slow enemy heroes for a total of 90 seconds using Shiva's Guard. This promoted reckless behavior and prolonging matches just to finish the 3-star requirements. Team quests amplified this problem by forcing your teammates to join in on the fun. The most infamous one required you to stack 12 aura effects. In order to do this, your whole team has to restrict their hero pool and build their items inefficiently. You also need to win the match for it to count. I hope it's clear now as to why I prefer Jungle Expedition and Cavern Crawl over TI7's quest lines. This is the moment everyone's been waiting for, talking about the goods. To make this easier to digest, I will be sorting out all the rewards into 3 categories: permanent, temporary, and unique. Let's start off with the permanent rewards. These prizes never expire. Most of them are even marketable after a certain amount of time. Immortals Treasure 1, 2, and 3 are basically the very first permanent rewards in the Battle Pass, since you obtain one of each in level 1. If you want to know my feedback regarding its contents, my past Dota 2 video showcases my analysis and unboxing of the Immortal Treasure 1. Links are in the description below. As for how the Immortals are spread across the levels, TI9 is completely identical to TI8. That does mean that the threshold has been increased by 10 levels across all treasures when compared to TI7's. But at the very least, you get an extra treasure 2 in level 132, since it's not part of the level 140 bundle. This year's courier, BEETLEBARK and PLOD, is available from the get-go since you unlock its base form in level 1. Each style upgrades the beetle's horns into the likes of a stag beetle or a rhinoceros beetle. It also changes the back of the beetle into different spherical Dota 2 items like the Refresher Orb and Soul Booster. When you compare the courier to its brethren, BEETLEBARK and IMMOR have very similar levels when unlocking styles. As for Hermes, the levels you are seeing right now are incorrect. His actual levels are 1, 40, 116, 188, 287, 362, 515, 667, and 2225. Even though Hermes' final style unlock is ridiculous, I still prefer him over the other two. He has more styles, and each one showcases different Dota 2 items as his shell. BEETLEBARK does something similar, but fails tremendously since you can't even see the Dota 2 item at its front or side. IMMOR is simply boring and forgettable. Hermes also has a 10th style called Evolving Progressive Shell. When you choose this style, it uses up his base form at the very start. However, in specific time intervals, he automatically upgrades to the next style. This goes on until he reaches the final style you have unlocked. It's a nice way to showcase all his styles while playing the game. It still baffles me as to why IMMOR or BEETLEBARK don't have this evolving style. But that's just one of the many reasons as to why Hermes is one of the greatest couriers in the game. There are two more rewards unlocked in level 1 that's worth considering: the International 2019 Music Pack and this year's exclusive ward, Sentinels of Ruin. The question is, which Battle Pass has the best music pack and wards? Of course, the answer is purely subjective. I prefer TI8's epic scores over TI7's somber melodies and TI9's intimidating instrumentals. As for wards, there's only one remark I can make. Thank God they abandoned the awful ward styles in TI7. It was very detrimental to the game when ward styles made observers and sentries look very similar. Once you reach level 4, you unlock this Battle Pass's first taunt. There are 12 of them, and the final one can be reached at level 563. In comparison, TI8 also have 12 taunts, with some minor level differences. TI7 have lower level requirements, but it also has fewer taunts. At level 75, you obtain the Dark Willow Announcer Pack. At the time of writing, the Announcer Pack is not yet finished, so players still don't know whether it will be good or not. Unlike my indifference towards past TI Announcer Packs, I'm actually looking forward to Dark Willow's version. She has one of the best voices and accents in the game. Still, I doubt Dark Willow can hold a candle against Wayne June's Announcer Pack. Now that we have reached level 160, we can finally talk about one of the most integral rewards in Dota 2 Battle Passes, the terrain. This year graces us with Overgrown Empire. It presents us with a wonderful fusion of the lush vegetation of a jungle and the man-made ruins of a lost civilization. It also perfectly contrasts each side of the map. The Radiant side is designed with deep green trees and foliage, while the Dire side has a higher density of purple trees and brown withered grass. Monsoon rains also happen in random intervals, which darken the sky and sway the trees. You are also provided with an option to turn off said weather effects if you don't want it tanking your FPS. I consider this terrain better than the King's New Journey, which is no easy feat. But what if it's pitted against the TI7 and TI8 terrains? In my opinion, Reef's Edge is the best terrain out of the three. The underwater design is still the most visually appealing terrain out there. It contrasts the two sides of the map a lot better than the Overgrown Empire. The Radiant side has green seaweeds and beige stone floors, while the Dire side has dark blue corals and gray sand floors. The Radiant is also adorned with the architecture of the Slytherin, while the Dire is riddled with shipwrecks and Maelstrom ruins. It cleverly designed the river while also improving FPS performance since there's zero water effects. I had to abandon my old account which had Reef's Edge. I would give just anything to have it back. I miss it. As for the Emerald Abyss, don't even bother. It was so disappointing, especially when you compare it to the past year's terrain. The moment you reach level 182, you unlock the Reptilian Refuge, which is TI9's Crypt Skin. It complements the Overgrown Empire terrain very well. It also does a good job of distinguishing the two sides through their color schemes. The Radiant Chameleons have green tones and brown garbs, while the Dire Gators have muddier scales and red costumes. I remain indifferent towards Crypt Skins. None of them has impressed me so far, and I think I know why. What if the design of the Radiant Mega Creeps is actually their base form? What if the creeps were designed to look very similar to Prelix and Kana? What I'm looking for is an upgraded remodeling of the default creeps. I want a creep skin that still represents the Ancients' themes, all while working well with any terrain. I would also love it if Bounce FX and Piore's Frogs and Bugs became a Battle Pass creep skin. It may not be what I'm looking for, but I simply love how meta the idea is. The Radiant are frogs which represent Ice Frog, while Dire are bugs which represent the persistent in-game bugs. At the 245 mark, you get your very first Trust of the Benefactors. These are chests which contain one of the 3 immortal treasures. You also get an incredibly rare chance to obtain a limited edition cosmetic, which is highly sought after in the market. There is one question that pops up the moment you compare it to past Benefactors. Why do you get your very first one at level 245? Past Battle Passes make theirs available at level 83. Most players might consider this trivial since you only lose out on a single Benefactor. But this is the reason why we're doing comparisons in the first place. It's to keep tabs on shortcomings such as this. Once you obtain the 255th level, you are rewarded with Tiny's prestige item called Majesty of the Colossus. After seeing this, I only had one thing to say. It's finally here! I've been waiting for this ever since its debut in Siltbreaker Part 2. I always named this cosmetic after the boss Torrega. And it also felt like it was mocking me the moment I saw the skin in Frosthaven's Round 12. But now, there's no more reason to be angry nor sad because it's finally here. Arranging all 3 prestige items side by side reminded me of an important fact. Every prestige item has 2 styles. As if the Majesty of the Colossus isn't good enough, it actually comes in 2 flavors. Out of all the rewards in this year's Battle Pass, this is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. In level 365 lies Planetfall, Earthshaker's Arcana. Now this is quite a treat. Arcanas are very appealing since it redesigns the majority of the hero's model and animation using only a single cosmetic slot. From what is shown in the picture, it's going to be a helm with stag horns. It also pairs up with Earthshaker's latest totem since it shares the same symbols present in the picture. This is the perfect time for me to tell the tale of the Benevolent Companion. Since Io's design was so simple, the majority of players voted for Io just to see how Valve will design its Arcana. TI6 Arcana vote ended with Io winning second place. It was pretty much guaranteed that this will keep happening until Io wins. But the main problem is, Io has never been a popular pick in pub games. So even if it wins the votes, the Arcana sales would have been abysmal. Turning it into a Battle Pass reward solves that problem. But Earthshaker is neither a runner-up nor is he unpopular. So why was Planetfall given the privilege to become the second Battle Pass Arcana? The world may never know. And now we have finally reached the end of the level progression. Getting to level 1000 awards you with this year's Aegis of Champion, and going all the way up to level 2000 nets you the Baby Roshan statue. What makes them extra special is that they're real-life physical rewards. The level 1000 Aegis has been going on since 2015, but the level 2000 Roshan started in 2017. These two have been present in every Battle Pass ever since. But physical rewards tend to have real-life issues. Not every country has good delivery services. So if you're not confident with your area's mailing system, don't bother reaching level 1000. The Baby Roshan was also a severe downgrade to what was advertised. Good news though, the replacements are on their way. Too bad it's 2 years too late. Speaking of Baby Roshan, this year's cosmically rare courier is called Honey Heist Baby Roshan. And the only way to obtain it in-game is with a trusty shovel. It is one of 4 consumables used during the game, which gives you a small chance in getting rewards, ranging from player packs to immortal treasures. And the lucky few who acquire this courier is made happier for it, whether they are a collector or because they're set for life in Steambox. The Desert Sands Baby Roshan can only be obtained in treasure chests related to the Siltbreaker campaign. The Jade Baby Roshan, however, was tied to the Cavern Crawl questline. It seems like traditions are kept by keeping the TI Baby Roshans out of the majority's reach. It is time for us to move on to the second reward category, the temporary goods. These rewards might not be as appealing since they expire, but some of them are gaining relevance, especially in the professional scene. Seasonal effects are the least impactful, yet are the very first you'll ever obtain. In-game elements and item effects are altered to better fit the Battle Passes theme. These range from simple level 2 prizes up to level 1575 rewards. When comparing the 3 Battle Passes effects, there have been some noteworthy changes. The differences between TI7 and TI8's versions are as follows. The rewards in the middle have had their level requirements spread irregularly. Mech and Maelstrom have had their levels drastically lowered, and the Dagon effects no longer exist. TI9 is mostly identical to TI8 with the exception of the new ranged auto attack effects, rewarded at level 1575. Sprays are mostly considered as gimped voice lines, since people barely notice them during a game. However, it is a nice backup for muted players. The first spray is located at level 26, while the final one is located at level 812. TI9 has 4 more sprays than its predecessors, and still have lower level requirements. My only gripe is that they didn't add last year's sprays along with the new ones. Now we arrive to the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop! Chat wheel voice lines. These have been the best temporary goods out there. It easily attracts attention and can be used in numerous situations. It can help lighten the mood of your team, or it can be used to trash talk your opponents frequently. This year even included one of the best and longest voice lines said by a caster. It is obtained at level 100, but it is drastically shortened. But every time you reach 100 levels, this specific voice line grows longer. This goes on until it reaches its original length. Unlike sprays, old voice lines are included in the reward pool along with the new ones. This is evident the moment you look at TI7, the very first battle pass to have voice lines. There used to be 5 caster lines and only one of them can be heard by your enemies. Now, we have numerous caster bundles and they are spread rather generously. That means that every passing year, players will have more chances to get them and more voice lines to choose from. Reaching level 66 nets you the very first river vial of TI9's Battle Pass. Vials change the look of the river present in the map. Compared to sprays and voice lines, these are usually ignored or underutilized, although using the dry vial might improve your FPS. After 3 years, it seems that river vials have remained the same. The most radical change happened in TI8. The slime, oil, and electrify vials have swapped positions, and most of the level requirements have increased dramatically. I think it's time for us to talk about emblems. These are pretty much the temporary versions of Baby Roshan couriers. Even though emblems have expiration dates, their rarity is what makes them valuable. Players out there are willing to pay a hefty price for these temporary goods. In TI7, emblems can only be obtained by participating in a weekly pachinko game. 10 lucky Battle Pass owners are rewarded with the emblem each week. Ever since TI8, emblems are now tied to immortal treasures. As for which iteration gave out more emblems, we will never know. And here we are at the third and final category, unique rewards. They are basically permanent prizes that are the first of its kind. There's no side-by-side comparison here, folks. We can only compare these rewards as a whole. The Battle Pass offers its first unique reward at level 77, the first TI9 versus screen. The second one can be obtained at level 296. These rewards alter the updated version of Dota 2's versus screen. The 7.0 update gave Dota its very first versus screen. It had mixed receptions. Hero models were off, it was poorly shaded, and the slow-mo effect had inconsistent implementations. The updated versus screen has better presentation of each team while focusing on a single player's statistics and cosmetics. The lower right portion shows the default version, which has a simple, straightforward zoom. What you are seeing on the upper right are the unique rewards you can obtain in the Battle Pass. The level 77 reward shows Sand King in a circular motion, while the level 296 reward shows Podge power walking with his team. Worthwhile rewards in my opinion, although there is a problem. It's inconsistent. I have put the TI9 versus screens in a shuffle so that the default version never appears, and yet it still does. A simple fix may solve this issue. Acolyte of the Lost Arts graces you with its presence at level 305. This young invoker cosmetic is the very first instance of a hero persona. Arcanas usually alter most of the hero's model using only a single slot, opening it up for further customization. Personas, on the other hand, may be a cosmetic that can only be equipped as a full set in order for the complete remodeling to work. It will be very restrictive to some, but at the very least, this opens up a lot of possibilities for future cosmetics. Let me remind you though that this is just an assumption. This reward has not yet been released, so we have no proof on how personas work. Once you reach level 335, you obtain the very first tower skins. They're called Guardians of the Lost Path. I love the design since it's a throwback to Dota 1's Radiant Towers. What makes it even better is that it still preserves the themes of the ancients, making them perfect for any terrain. One suggestion I might add to make this immaculate is for the Radiant Tower to have the same head design as Chen's helmet. Finally, we have reached the last unique reward of the TI9 Battle Pass. Axe Unleashed is located at level 425. You might be saying, what's unique about this? It's just an immortal type cosmetic that acts like an arcana. Arcana lore usually tells a tale of the specific hero reaching their ultimate potential, the climax of their story. Axeless Axe is a contradiction. Even if it's in character, the execution is hilarious rather than serious. So the very existence of Axe Unleashed means that Valve is now willing to create cosmetics that are less story-driven and more comedic. Did you know why I compared this cosmetic to an arcana? It's because it only uses up one slot while getting all that altered model goodness. I can't wait for all the best and worst combinations the player base has to offer. For the sake of comparison, we will compile all the unique rewards of TI7, TI8, and TI9 and pit them against one another. So what are the unique rewards in TI7? There's none. What used to be the first of its kind had gained TI8 and TI9 equivalents. What about TI8? Lucky for us, there's still one TI8 reward that has no counterpart, and it's... oh boy! This promise was more of an eminent reskin than a revival. It was such a promising concept. Have old Immortals get updated designs so that they work better with newer Arcanas and Immortals. What we got were old Immortals getting a green makeover. Even its second style didn't give it justice. For a bundle that boasted itself as worthy of level 615, it was a colossal failure. I think it's pretty obvious who the winner is. Okay, let's give TI8 a chance and remove Acolyte of the Lost Arts because the reward isn't released yet. TI9 still wins because 3 is better than 0. This is a table containing all the rewards of TI9's Battle Pass. To prevent the data from being bloated, it doesn't include rewards that are repeated after a certain level threshold, like Immortal Treasures and Benefactors. Now it's time to evaluate this table with its TI7 and TI8 counterparts. It's quite clear how much the rewards have improved after TI7, but you might be wondering why TI9's rewards are less than TI8's. It's not. This is still an inaccurate representation. The best way to present this is to only show the rewards that actually matter. I will only include prizes that players actually plan for and aim to get. Now we're talking. These tables only include rewards that are either enticing exclusives or bountiful bundles. This comparison now accurately shows which Battle Pass had the most worthwhile prizes. Although, what's the point of all these rewards if it's impossible to get? The levels of each reward and their distance to one another are also important topics. Let's just assume that most TI7 and TI8 players will be stopping at level 375, while TI9 players will be stopping at level 425. The majority would consider the rewards above those levels to be not worth the trouble or effort. With a bit of calculation, TI7 and TI8 requires 75 levels to get to the next reward, while TI9 only requires 35 levels. In my opinion, the TI9 Battle Pass wins both in quantity and availability. So after all the numerous comparisons and deliberations, we could easily consider TI9 to be the overall winner, right? Not exactly. 2019's Battle Pass has a problem that wasn't an issue before. It's harder to naturally level up. The achievements are the first culprit. Achievements are one of the most accessible ways to earn levels naturally. Winning wagers, opening immortals, and finishing quest lines were the easiest ones to get. Those are now gone. The achievements that replaced them require too much cooperation from other people. I know Valve is doing this to lessen the solo queue mentality, but they could have simply added these achievements instead of being replacements. Speaking of achievements, coaching is one of the newer ones. You have to assist players which are lower ranked than yours into victory. Coaching is not available to players with bad behavior or very low ranks. Makes sense. But the problems appear the moment you start coaching. Leveling is very grindy, and your score is based on the 5 players' feedback. One of the achievements requires you to gain 5 positive votes in a winning match multiple times. It only takes one asshole for this achievement to be null and void. Weekly challenges have increased in difficulty as well. One requires you to deward enemy wards which are very rare in lower ranks. Another requires you to claim the Aegis multiple times, which forces you to pick Ursa. Let's just hope none of the support players ever get that weekly. The challenges may be ignored due to its low rewards, but to others, every point counts. Recycling immortals no longer work like they used to. Previously, recycling 1 immortal gives you 2 levels. Now, you need to recycle 4 immortals from the same treasure to get an unopened version of that chest. You also get a CM wheel token with the package. This is hellish for frugal players that rely on immortals to level up. But this is heavenly for players who tend to buy levels, since they will get more market value. In TI8's Battle Pass, every 100th level rewarded you with 5 more levels if you were subscribed to Dota Plus. Not to mention, you are given 10 free levels by simply buying the Battle Pass. Of course, these are now gone as well. It was weird being rewarded with more levels after leveling up, but it was very much welcomed. After removing so many ways to get levels naturally, you might be thinking as to where they were relocated. Welp, I got some bad news. They now reside in an RNG minigame called Riley's Battle Blessings. It takes a ton of luck getting levels from this wheel. If it's any consolation, sets and treasures rewarded by this minigame are indeed marketable. There is indeed a public outcry regarding the overall difficulty in gaining levels, but I highly doubt Valve will address any of it since their strategy is working. TI9 both has an amazing catalog of rewards and fewer ways to gain levels naturally, so more players are now willing to buy additional levels as a result. In conclusion, the International 2019 Battle Pass is superior in most regards when compared to its last 2 predecessors, but it takes a few steps back by making it more difficult to naturally level up. This ends our in-depth look at TI9's Battle Pass. Thank you for joining me in this Dota 2 journey. Future TI9 videos are on their way as more Battle Pass content arrives. This video is also my first time making scripted content, so I truly hope you enjoyed this show. And with that said, see you guys next time.